Hello and welcome to another edition of the Are You Ready Wrestling Podcast here on Newport City Radio, joining you once again on what can only be described as the end of a heatwave here in Newport, South Wales. It's a heatwave of weather, and I think we've got a heatwave of wrestling heating up nicely over the next coming weeks and months, especially here in South Wales, and I know the UK as a whole. Joining me as ever on this journey is Curtis, who's back once again. Hello, Curtis.
Hello.
Hello. We are a week removed from our interview with Brandon White of New Wave. Really enjoyed that one. What are your thoughts on that one?
Really good episode. Really enjoyed it. Great experience. Got to ask some very good questions. Got some really good answers as well. Couldn't have been more pleased with the interview. Hope all the listeners are enjoying it as much as I did.
Yeah, that's available now on our podcast feed. Our hour-long chat with him as we prepare for the events of next Sunday as we record this live on the 21st of July. On the 28th of July, New Wave will be making their long-anticipated return to Newport for the first time since 2020, I believe, since the pandemic. So they've been 4 long years outside of Newport, and yeah, we're hoping to be there. Hopefully we'll see some of you there. Really looking forward to that one. If you haven't listened to it yet, it is still available on our podcast feed on Are You Ready, on Spreaker, on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, or if you want to look on Newport City Radio social media page, I'm sure you'll see it on there. That's next Sunday. This Sunday we are talking all things wrestling from the different sides of the divide, and kicking us off, Curtis.
Yes.
We are on the build to SummerSlam.
We are indeed.
For me, this build, obviously, is one of the big 4 PLEs, but we know WrestleMania is about a 2-month build between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. I think it'll be a little bit longer this year because of the different pay-per-view structure that they seem to be going with next year, the Royal Rumble being in January. It just seems that outside of maybe Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, which is yet to be announced, but we were all expecting that to be announced, the build for me has been a little bit boring.
Yeah, I feel the same, to be honest. Obviously, SummerSlam's one of the big 4 PLEs that WWE do, and normally there's a real big hype over it, especially with it being summer as well, and also being called SummerSlam and stuff. It's so many great memories have happened at SummerSlam. But the build just hasn't been too big. Obviously, we're still waiting for clearance of CM Punk, which will happen. I believe it'll be...
We'll come on to that in a second.
Yeah, but it just doesn't seem like there's anything really interesting other than the CM Punk stuff going on. The build-up hasn't been the best, and yeah.
You mentioned there, like in previous years, we've seen John Cena return. I remember that's what got me back into professional wrestling back in 2021.
Becky Lynch returning as well.
On that same run up, Brock Lesnar obviously famously returned at the end of the pay-per-view as they were known then. Yeah, you look at last year, for example, Roman Reigns against Jey Uso at a
Tribal Chief Combat match, I think.
Tribal Combat match, yeah. I couldn't think of the term then. Well, that you've had some huge matchups. Like I say, I know you're going to get CM Punk against Drew McIntyre in what I think will be the first of a couple of matches.
Yeah.
Whether it'll be a trilogy or maybe they'll have 3 or 4.
I think maybe the final match
5
will kind of be like maybe heading towards Bad Blood time. That could be like a Hell in a Cell type match, which will possibly, most likely, will be kind of like the finale unless they push it out even further, but I very much doubt that they will. But I can't wait to see them two in the ring. But yeah, really excited for that one.
Really excited for that. We'll do a full preview, we'll do a full breakdown next Sunday. But on Raw, we've been waiting for it to come back for such a long time. We've seen slowly over the weeks Liv Morgan become more and more obsessed, is that the right word, with Dominic Mysterio, which goes back to her saying to Rhea Ripley just before Rhea got injured she wants to take everything from her, which includes Dominic Mysterio. And Rhea Ripley kicked off Raw this week. She made her return in the main event. Last week, one of the final shots of the show was her coming down the entranceway.
Yeah.
To a thunderous ovation, as you'd expect with Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
She's back.
She is back.
She made a very, very short speech or promo in the middle of that ring, and she declared she wants Liv Morgan at SummerSlam.
She did indeed. I personally thought it was going to be a custody match of Dominic Mysterio.
Of Dominic Mysterio, like we mentioned in the past.
I'm kind of gutted that isn't the case, because that would have been a really good spin-off to the match.
As we just mentioned with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, we expect them to go on to have maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 or 5 matches.
Yeah,
this
it could be like
the
that.
Same.
Obviously, who knows what could happen with that match. We'll definitely talk about that more in depth next week. But I'm glad Rhea Ripley's back. She's back with a vengeance. And Liv Morgan, watch out, because Mami's coming for your title.
Mami's coming. The title that Rhea Ripley never lost.
Yes,
because if you remember, just after WrestleMania, Liv Morgan actually took her out as part of a revenge tour.
Yeah, backstage segment, wasn't it? And
yes.
And Rhea Ripley injured her shoulder, was it?
Yeah, and that's what kept her out in that time. Though she did get married to her buddy Matthews.
Yeah, she did indeed. Congratulations to her.
And in kayfabe, a certain Jey Uso is trying to get her attention.
Did you see the video that got circled online of her? Was it one of the interviewers asked her, "Oh, have you got Jey Uso's number?" And she was just like, "Yeet." I found that quite funny.
What do you think that this is a bit of a joke, or do you think there could be a bit more serious angle here potentially? Could we see maybe Liv and Dominic against Jey Uso and Rhea?
I don't know, because obviously other matches have been announced for SummerSlam.
Maybe not SummerSlam.
Maybe not. Maybe it's further down the road. But obviously Cody versus Sikoa has been announced.
That'll be in the main event.
Will be the main event. Obviously, there's been a lot of rumours over online of stuff of the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns returning. We all think that it's going to be a massive match at Survivor Series and a War Games match between Bloodline OG versus Bloodline 2.0, which we've referred to a lot. So I don't see Jey Uso getting involved in kind of any other storylines. I think they're just going to keep him as a solo run for the time being. Then, when Jimmy Uso returns, they'll have like a few weeks of them like trying to reunite, and then they'll reunite then.
Do you... Because I've seen people online, and you just mentioned it then, about Roman returning at SummerSlam, which I think pretty much everyone expects at this point. Yeah. He's finished filming the film he was filming, I can't remember what it was called. He's finished that, as I say. He hasn't got any other obligations. People expect him to return. People are also saying they expect Jimmy to return as well.
I mean, there's a good chance that he will return. Will it be with Roman? Possibly. I'm not overly sure, but I do know for definite that when Roman Reigns comes back, he will be joined by a certain someone, and that is the Wise Man.
Paul Heyman.
Yes.
I've missed Paul Heyman. He's been away for a few weeks, but to me, he was carrying that story.
Huge shout out to Paul Heyman there.
Who? Paul Heyman?
Paul Heyman.
I thought you said Paul Heyman.
No, I said Paul Heyman. You need to get your hearing checked out, mate.
Paul Heyman.
Shout out to him, though, because he did really well with carrying that storyline.
He has.
Especially the last episode that he appeared on SmackDown. One of the best segments I've seen this year from him, especially after Roman lost the title at WrestleMania. But I hope to see Paul back very, very, very soon.
I do as well. I think, you'll get the 3, in my opinion, you'll get the 3 come back in one go.
So this is my kind of thing of the match, right?
To counteract the Bloodline. Are we doing our preview before our preview?
I think so.
I think so.
Just to shout out there, I've mentioned it to you the other week. I think Roman's going to come back and cost Solo the title.
Yeah.
So it could go either way. Roman's music hits, Solo's looking down the ramp, and he's like, and Roman doesn't come out from the entranceway. Roman comes behind Solo. Superman punches him.
Spear.
Cody picks him up. 3 crossroads.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3. Cody retains, and then that sets the stage then for Roman to come, obviously be back, return, to then them to start the storyline with the Bloodline 2.0. But who knows? We could get interference from Bloodline 2.0 as well with Jacob Fatu.
I was about to say that because there's so many of them.
Tangaloa,
Tama Tonga, and Hikuleo.
Yeah.
Fightful Select reported the other day that he signed with WWE. So
could he debut there?
Hikuleo is the brother of Tama Tonga and Tangaloa. So you'd imagine that they'd form together. He's just go on to Bloodline 2.0, which then leaves the question. And I've seen people say online, is Jacob Fatu a plant?
I think so too, because I don't know. I think there's probably a good chance that Roman sent him there to like get the Bloodline's information, and then.
Well, is it Roman? Because people have said as well that he could be a plant from The Rock.
It could be. This is the thing with the Bloodline. There's so many of them involved in this storyline, and there has been for the past 4 years, ever since Roman first won the title back in 2020. This storyline has been going on for a long time. You've seen so many people.
It's going to go on for a while longer.
I know. Like, when will it end?
Never.
Will it ever end?
I don't think so. It'll be going on to the end of time. And still it'll be going on.
We'll be no longer in the Bloodline story. Will still be going on.
Still be waiting for Roman Reigns to return.
Oh, yeah, with his long hiatus.
Exactly.
Should we get back on track?
Yeah, a full breakdown of SummerSlam will come next week. But in the meantime, still on Monday Night Raw. Moving on, what are your thoughts, before we come on to this segment, what are your thoughts on Death Rebel as a whole?
Shocking.
Yeah?
I don't really like their theme songs.
Well, no.
Just the new ones are just rubbish. They're just shocking. They're awful. Like, what? I don't know, I just prefer the old ones. I just don't know. They just don't suit the character, do they? The only good one that they've made was it Tangaloa's one, or is it?
Not even Roman's.
Roman's is a good one, yeah. I like
Seth?
Seth's a good one, yeah, as well. Okay. But just some of the new ones. Just some of the new ones that they've made.
AJ Styles?
Oh, that's awful. That's awful. That is dreadful. Like, when you make an entrance song, it's gotta pop. So, like, with Roman's, there's like a bass drop or something at the start, or like a drum kick kind of thing. I don't really know what you call it, but like, yeah, when his music hits, it's a massive pop. And as well with the Rock's, his old one, his one is do you smell what the Rock is cooking, and something along those lines.
I wonder what the Rock is cooking. He's been cooking for a long time.
He has, hasn't he? Obviously, John Cena's announced his retirement. When will the Rock retire?
Will he ever retire?
I think so. I think
the Rock's nearly 6 or 7 years older than John Cena.
I think he's like 50 something, isn't he? Like
he's definitely in his 50s.
He's doing well, isn't he?
Fair play to Dwayne.
Good old Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Anyway, the reason why I asked you that question is because a certain Celtic warrior who has been back on Raw for a couple of months now after being away for quite a while with, I want to say, he had neck issues.
Yeah.
Sheamus.
Yes.
Now, when he came back, he changed his theme to his original theme back in 2008 from Jim Johnson, who he obviously used to do the WWE themes. Back then, legendary producer. Did so many great themes for WWE over the years.
The old ones were so much better.
Yeah. And he came back with that one. Too many limes. Too many limes, Curtis. Too many limes.
Indeed.
But he came out for a match on Monday Night Raw against Bronson Reed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Twitter went into a meltdown.
They did indeed.
I think you went into a meltdown as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the new theme?
Well, shocking I think is a very appropriate word. I do not like it. It doesn't give no pop. It's not like... It just gives me a headache.
It just sounds so generic.
I know, it's like... Sheamus is like a very big wrestler. One of the greatest wrestlers.
Greatest European wrestlers.
Like, and they have that as his theme song. It's just not good, is it? It's just boring.
Just boring.
There's literally no word. I have no words of how bad it is. I cannot describe that theme song, but my advice is get rid of it.
I don't think they will.
Of course
and
they don't.
I remember watching the Royal Rumble this year. I know people online said it as well. That, like, every other entrance that came in, you didn't know who it was because of the theme music. Like, in the past, you've got, like, CM Punk with Cult of Personality. You've got Cody with Kingdom.
There's not a lot of unique entrances. It's only the big ones. Cody, obviously, that's an actual song that's been made. CM Punk, an actual song that's been made. Romans, no one else has anything like that.
Yeah.
So, the Usos, Seth, obviously you've got the Burn It Down to start off with. You all know who it is straight away. Yeah. Whereas... put it this way, right? I was playing 2K24 last night, and I was doing the Royal Rumble match, and I was Jey Uso.
Of course you were.
Yeah.
Did you win the Royal Rumble match?
I did indeed win the Royal Rumble.
Oh, were you off to WrestleMania?
Yeah, I was off to WrestleMania.
Who are you facing?
Who do I choose? Cody Rhodes. I'm coming for your undisputed Universal title. Or undisputed WWE Championship, I should now call it.
Yes.
But the first few entrances, it randomised the people come in, and the only person that I know that come in was The Rock,
Dusty. You've got the
Dusty Rhodes.
Okay, have you brought him back from the dead?
Dusty Rhodes somehow. Dusty Rhodes was the first entrance in the match.
Okay,
and he lasted until like number 27, I think. So he's doing well for himself.
Fair play to you, Dusty.
I don't know who eliminated him. I think it might have been me. I eliminated quite a few people, but some of the entrances that come out, I just didn't have a clue who they were. I was like, who the hell is this? I have no idea who you are. And then I just read the person then. But it's just some of the entrances is just really not good, and just like you want it to be unique so you know who they are straight away. Like you
or like someone like Sami Zayn, there's no words to his song,
but it's unique.
Yeah,
like he's made it unique for himself. But it's just some of the new ones that they've done is just there's nothing entertaining about it, and it's not good. Especially if you want to use that wrestler, you're not going to know who it is, especially if they're going to come out in the middle of a match.
More so on NXT.
Yeah,
I watch NXT every week or however often I watch it. And the entrance is there. It's just
there's only one unique one though on NXT.
You don't know. He's not even in NXT.
Well, he's not in NXT, but he's been appearing quite a lot. He is on TNA.
He is wrestled last night for TNA.
There's only one person. You say his name, and he appears. Say his name.
It's gone.
Oh no!
No.
Who's deleted his entrance?
It's not there anymore.
Well.
Damn you, powers that be!
We did have Joe.
Do they not know our meme on the podcast?
We did have Joe Hendry's theme song saved on the computer, but someone in the radio station has deleted it.
I call out the powers that be. I call out Ian Lambsdale, the Evil City Radio. I challenge you to a match next Sunday at New Way Wrestling. Anyway.
Back on track. There's the laugh of the podcast for everyone.
Yeah.
So he has a new theme.
He has a new theme, which hasn't gone down well on social media, hasn't gone down well.
With anything, really.
Yeah, with anyone. But it looks like he's got a new feud. Now we know Tyler Bate. Tyler Bate. I thought confused their name. Is out injured. I think it's been confirmed he'll be out to the end of the year, which is really, really sad to see. However, that unleashes Pete Dunne to be a solo star, and as we spoke to Brendan White last Sunday, he's one of the best wrestlers around.
He is indeed.
Especially in European British wrestlers.
If he's not up there with one of the British, he's up there with one of the greatest British wrestlers that there's ever been.
I don't think he's on the same level as Will Ospreay.
No, but...
I mean, he's not in AEW, so he can't be the best wrestler, because that's obviously where the best wrestle.
Obviously, of course. Funny you would say that.
It looks like that the old Brawling Brutes are imploding, in a way, even though they haven't been together for about a year. Rich Holland's down on NXT with Chase U. Pete Dunne has been in a tag team, and Sheamus has been off his own separate way, but it looks like we're seeing a...
massive split and just completely astonished now, isn't it? It's just blown up. It's gone. Pete Dunne turns on Sheamus on Raw.
I don't see Pete Dunne being in the main event level anytime soon, along the line likes of Gunther and Seth and Cody.
WWE is way too hot at the minute with so many big stars. Roman when he returns, Rhea Ripley when she's back. Cody.
I mean, I'm more in the men's scene.
Oh, the men's scene, yeah. You got CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins. They're all up there.
Gunther, Damian Priest,
Cody, Solo,
LA Knight.
Yeah. We won't mention who he's facing at SummerSlam because I do not like him.
Oh, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Ugh.
Where do you see, obviously, as I mentioned, next couple of months he's going to be on a solo run, barring obviously any injuries. What do you see happening for Pete Dunne? What do you see almost the ceiling being for him over this
I don't know.
run?
I mean, he's obviously going to have a storyline with Sheamus now. But I just don't know. He's not at the main event scene. He's not going to win any, not even the mid-card titles. The most title he's probably going to win, he probably won't even win I mean, there's a chance that he may go for the tag titles, but you'll have to have another tag team partner. Obviously, he's turned on Sheamus now, so there's no chance of that happening unless he finds someone else, which I very much doubt he will. This is the problem with some of these wrestlers. They're really, really good, but there isn't just a lot there for them, especially the 2 world titles taken. They're not going to drop it off Cody anytime soon.
And Gunther's obviously going to pick it up at SummerSlam.
Gunther's going to pick it up at SummerSlam. United States title, that's out of the picture. Intercontinental title, out of the picture.
I don't know, though.
I mean, he could go for the Intercontinental title.
But then I think you might see it at SummerSlam, Braun against Sammy again, maybe Ilya Dragunov in there.
Yeah, I just don't see anything happening relatively anytime soon for him. So I think him and Sheamus isn't going to be on the main event level. I don't think
I think Sheamus is someone in that mid-card scene that I don't know how long he's got left in him.
I think what they're trying to do with Sheamus is they're trying to we all kind of know Sheamus isn't going to have long left anymore. He's pretty much done everything that he's done.
Apart from winning the Intercontinental title.
Apart from that, I think he's just going to be used to kind of use the younger talent and try and bring them through, in a sense of they pick up a few wins here and there. They have like a really big storyline that tries and brings attention to them as well as Sheamus, and then further down the line, they just see how it plays out. We've said it before, and I still believe this, that I think WWE is just seeing how it goes with most of the storylines. Like with the Bloodline story, they've got that planned out. They always do. They have that planned out. Look at how big.
Triple H had a WrestleMania was already planned out for months.
Yeah, but some of these mid cards, the stuff like this is just they're just seeing how it goes, and I really do respect that as well, because we're seeing some really good stuff from WWE that we haven't seen for a long time.
No.
Like, look how big the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre storyline is. Like, they screwed Drew in his hometown.
Exactly.
And like they wouldn't really do that unless they knew something was there. So
Drew screwed CM Punk in Chicago.
Yeah, so there's a lot there. Not for Pete Dunne though, or Sheamus.
That we know of.
I
I don't know, it's an interesting one because, as I say, Pete Dunne's a really, really talented wrestler. I think you've seen that in NXT, UK and NXT, that really, for me, hasn't translated onto the main roster.
No.
He's been there now for about 3 years now this year, two and a bit, 3 years. I think he came around the same time as Gunther and people like that back in 2022 after WrestleMania 38.
Yeah.
I think it's time to see what he can do on the main roster under Triple H. Because under Vince, he was Butch. He was kind of the third character in the Brawling Brutes. And he wasn't allowed to shine or show what Pete Dunne is about.
He's so much better on a solo run. And listen, we can't take away he's one of the greatest European wrestlers that there is, especially from Britain. There's no denying that. Where there's opportunities for him right now, I don't know. But all we know is he took out Sheamus. It looks like they're going to have a few matches, maybe have a storyline. But who knows? It's WWE, it's wrestling, anything can happen.
Yes. Something that is going to happen next week, I'm really, really looking forward to it.
There's a certain someone, isn't there?
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago we seen CM Punk on his own. Seth Rollins interrupted the bit of a promo battle. And then this week now, it was just Drew McIntyre who headbutted a couple of referees and got himself suspended again. And now it's CM Punk's chance to come back and be on TV. It's expected he's going to announce he's cleared for an in-ring return, which will lead into SummerSlam. Wrestle Votes on Twitter yesterday said, I think it was Wrestle Votes, yesterday on Twitter said that it's going to be CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre.
Yeah, and it wasn't there a good chance of a special
exactly
guest referee, and
that being a visionary,
Seth,
a revolutionary.
Seth freaking Rollins. So it was rumoured that, and I think there's a good chance that it will happen
at SummerSlam.
At SummerSlam, it's going to be.
It's a huge.
It's
a match worthy of a Big Four pay-per-view. PLE.
Yeah, and I'm really shocked that they haven't done that as the main event, because that
is Cody versus Solo main event because of what comes after it.
So my opinion on it is, if Cody and Solo is going to be the main event, Roman has to return. If Roman's not going to return, then why give the main event to Cody and Solo when you've got CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with a special guest referee, which we know they've all got rivalry at the minute. Seth doesn't like CM Punk because of the world title thing at
Money in the Bank.
That's the one. And Drew McIntyre and CM Punk are having one of the biggest, hottest
It is
angles.
the biggest, isn't it? In my opinion, anyway.
I think it is as well.
And this is me probably with my CM Punk hat on.
Of course it is, Luke.
I do actually own a CM Punk hat. Beanie hat.
Do you actually?
Yeah, I do. I bought it I had it for Christmas.
You're going to have to wear it.
Oh, well.
You should wear it if you go to any AEW shows or anything.
Yeah, to All In.
Yeah.
Take a speaker with me and blast cult personality down Wembley Way.
I'll bring my speaker, is it? My £75 speaker that's probably about the table height. Anyway, so CM Punk will return next week. Hopefully and most likely to announce his in-ring competition. He's been cleared.
Yes, he's been out of action since the Royal Rumble. It's been a long few months.
I know they've done well with this storyline, haven't they? To kind of like wait for CM Punk to be somewhat ready to start the storyline.
And I think you've seen over the time Drew McIntyre just become more and more unhinged.
Yeah, and well, Drew's at the point of boiling and about to lose it completely. Hence why he's been suspended. So what a perfect time to do a match. If Roman doesn't come back, I believe it should be the main event. But who knows? We'll talk properly about it next week. But a new faction was formed on SmackDown.
On SmackDown?
Oh, on Raw. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong thing.
Easy notes, Curtis.
I'm very tired, alright? I was up late last night.
Towards the end of Monday Night Raw, obviously, one of the other...
Defo would dig at me then. That was Defo would dig at me then. Monday Night Raw.
How's that a dig at you?
Because I said SmackDown instead of Raw.
Monday Night Raw, Curtis. Monday Night Raw. On Raw, the penultimate segment, I believe, of the show, we've seen Chad Gable come to the ring. Obviously, one of the other biggest storylines in WWE at the moment is the Uncle Howdy stuff, which is kind of taken, I don't want to say taken over the show, but you see on Monday afternoon during the Pat McAfee show, the lights go out and there's one of these mysterious VHS packages that's been left there, and you see the text saying "you lied" come up on the screen. I think they were mid-interview with someone, and then it flashed up.
Yeah.
As I say, they did so far, we've only seen the video of Uncle Howdy / Bo Dallas together in a room.
Yeah.
Which has been really, really well done, in my opinion. Some really, really good. It looks like an old VHS tape, as we say. It's broadcast on, or they've shown it to be on a VHS tape, and it is of that quality.
Yeah.
This week we've seen Eric Rowan.
We did indeed.
For the first time properly since, I want to say, the pandemic.
Yeah, it's been a very long time.
He was on the entranceway for the Bray Wyatt tribute show when they had the 10... What do they normally have? The 10 ring salute?
I think it was something like that, yeah.
So they had that there. Have you seen the video that they've done?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Because as I say, we've seen it with Uncle Howdy / Bo Dallas. I think we've had 2 or 3 of him. But now this week we has Eric Rowan.
It's good. I'm glad that they're doing it this way. And the camera quality that they're doing it in to make it more realistic is really good. They're making it more realistic, which is good, which is what they want. They want it to get it out there to the fans, especially with the VHS tapes and stuff. It kind of feels like that we're going to have one from all of them. Maybe. Obviously, we've had one from Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy, now Eric Rowan. Obviously, Nikki Cross has been delivering the VHS tapes to the announcement table to Michael Cole and Pat McAfee. So they're doing it really well. They're utilising this storyline, because we were always unsure on what they would do with this storyline when they returned, but it seems to me that they've got a clear direction, and it's probably going to be Chad Gable, his new faction, against the White Six.
He called out Bo Dallas as Bo Dallas because he said the most obvious thing in the world, that Uncle Howdy's Bo Dallas, which we've all known for about 1.5 years, 2 years since he came back. And then he started to get attacked. No, he didn't actually. I'd tell a lie. Uncle Bo Dallas was making his way to the ring, then he got jumped by 2 men. And we've been talking on this podcast for a little while now, when we reviewed Raw, that he's been talking with the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile, and they're going to form that kind of faction. Curtis, it's happened.
It has.
Whether it's the Afro Academy 2.0 or whatever they decide to call it, they've aligned themselves with Chad Gable. What are your thoughts?
It's good. Obviously, the Creed Bros lining with Chad Gable is going to be interesting,
because they're kind of both that college wrestling, amateur wrestling background, aren't they? You see the Afro Academy, the American Alpha tag team, which he was in, really, really good tag team from about 10 years ago.
Yeah. So
now he's back in another faction. So he's left one faction, gone to another one pretty much straight away.
Yeah. Who knows what they could do with this? Hopefully we'll get a match between the 2 factions, and then it'll kind of be Bo Dallas and Chad Gable as like the main characters in the ring, and then maybe it could lead to a solo match. What do you think they're going to do first? Do you think they're going to have the faction match first, and then it's going to lead to a one-on-one with...
I think it'll be the solo match, whether it be Chad Gable against Bo Dallas or whether it be Chad Gable against Uncle Howdy. We haven't actually seen Uncle Howdy wrestle a match.
Yeah.
We've only seen him as Uncle Howdy. I think he jumped off something at the Royal Rumble last year when Bray Wyatt had his last match against LA Knight, where he completely missed what he was supposed to jump onto, which is quite funny to see it. Yeah, final thoughts on Monday Night Raw?
Good show. What a way to kick it off. They did really well with that. I'm glad that they opened with Rhea. Not happy with Sheamus's theme song. Awful theme song. And good segment from Chad Gable as well. SmackDown.
Yes, moving our attention over to the blue brand,
which I've got right this time. It is SmackDown.
SmackDown. You sure it's not Monday Night Raw, Curtis?
No.
It's SmackDown, and our notes, and I know that you agree on this one.
Luke was doing our notes whilst...
Incredibly boring is written down, all in capital letters.
I mean,
I wanted to emphasise that point, though. It was incredibly boring.
It was really boring, though, wasn't it? There was... I think the most interesting bit was when the briefcase got destroyed. That's the only most interesting bit. I just don't have a lot of thoughts on SmackDown, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm going to try and drag some thoughts out of you, Curtis, in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Also, as you just mentioned then, Tiffany Stratton, Miss Money in the Bank, Tiffy in the Bank, whatever you want to call it.
Tiffy time indeed.
It's Tiffy time. We've seen last year, before we talk on about Tiffany Stratton, we've seen last year with Damian Priest, Mr. Money in the Bank ended up being Senior Money in the Bank. Yep. That's a custom briefcase.
He did indeed.
And I think that's a really clever move from them in terms of marketing, things like that. Because if you have that unique briefcase, yes, you can have the green one, you can have the white one, which we normally see every year, which they win.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Money in the Bank briefcases. For so long, there hasn't been many at all that have been very unique like that as such. I really like Damian Priest's briefcase, and we all know what Tiffany Stratton's briefcase is going to look like. It's going to be pink, and when I mean pink, it's going to be very bright. And your eyebrow raising.
Yeah, it got destroyed, as you say. It's going to be... We expect it to be quite pink, and...
If it's not pink, then...
Because last year we seen the purple briefcase matching with the same colour, even the same shade as the purple on the... this is associated with the Judgment Day.
It's probably going to be pink, like a ring gear and stuff like that. Like a Barbie type thing.
Does that rule out her cashing in at SummerSlam? Because we've seen Damian Priest had a 8-month run with a briefcase.
It all depends on... I mean, there's a chance, because... Who knows? Could Tiffany Stratton cash in on Nia if Nia was to beat Bayley?
But she nearly did on SmackDown last Friday, not Friday just gone. But Nia Jax stepped in and said, "What are you doing? What are you trying to do this for?" Kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, I think it all depends on the result of SummerSlam. I would like her to cash in on Nia Jax, because that would be really funny to see Nia Jax's face
at SummerSlam.
Yes.
Because for me, thinking about it, as I just mentioned, Damian Priest had the briefcase last year going into WrestleMania for about 9 months with that briefcase.
Yeah.
So the customization of it made sense. If he was going to have it for, say, a month and they customized it, then it wouldn't really make too much sense.
I know. That's.
So is this pointing towards maybe a bit more of a longer title or briefcase run for Tiffany? because we haven't really seen many of them in the women's division.
No.
It always seems to be they win the briefcase, going back to Money in the Bank 2022 when Liv Morgan won and cashed in on the same night on Ronda Rousey. She had it for mere hours.
Yeah, like an hour.
Yeah.
It was like an hour and a half she had it, and then she cashed in.
And won the title. Same last year in a way with Sky, but she had about a month from Money in the Bank to SummerSlam.
Cashed it in.
But we haven't really seen that, say,
Long
Damian
time.
Priest
Like long
style cash Money in the Bank reign from a female.
Yeah.
I think Carmella had a lengthy reign with it.
This is the thing, right? It really just depends, because it looks like we're going to lean towards something around them three being Bayley, Tiffany Stratton, and Nia Jax, as we've seen on SmackDown as well. Nia Jax tried to run at Bayley with a briefcase. Nia Jax got sent flying over to the timekeeper's area, and then Bayley, was it Bayley who destroyed the thing out of the briefcase?
Yeah, she stepped on it a couple of times and kicked it about and
threw it and just mangled it, really.
Basically, yeah.
It just
very much like Seth Rollins is, if you remember from about 10 years ago. It's kind of...
I do quite like it when they throw it at the wrestlers' heads and stuff, and there's just a massive dent in the briefcase.
Massive dent if you throw it at your head.
I'll throw it at your head. I'll cash in on you. You'll get lucky. You'll beat Cody Rhodes for the title, and I'll cash in at the Corn Exchange at New Wave Pro Wrestling. Special appearance from the American Nightmare.
He has wrestled in Newport before, did you know?
Yeah, I did.
Wrestled in Pill of all places.
What a place to wrestle. I bet he's traumatised. Probably
Pill Millennium Centre.
He probably never wants to come back.
He hasn't been back since.
Gotta love Newport, don't you?
Anyway, so that was Tiffany Stratton talk. Great segue into Cody Rhodes. He has been in Newport, and
he was on SmackDown.
He was on SmackDown this week, and yet again he was taken out by the Bloodline.
Surprise, surprise.
Now this is the third time. I want to say it's the third week in a row we've seen it. It's happened quite a bit. Last week, obviously, it was him and Randy Orton. This week, it was him and Kevin Owens. It just happens week after week after week.
It does indeed.
And we talk about that SmackDown becoming boring. It's a little bit stale.
Yeah.
In terms of, you just know what's going to happen.
Mm.
I mean, they're probably... Once SummerSlam is here, I know it's 2 weeks from yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll all end. Cody will win his title. He'll probably go off in his own direction. The Bloodline will go off in their direction, head towards War Games, maybe even Blood?
Blood? You mean Bad Blood?
Bad Blood, yeah.
You can't even say it. It's been gone for so long.
Exactly, I know, right?
Ugh.
Yeah. I know they want to build the Bloodline up to be this dominant faction, this dominant force in professional wrestling in WWE, as they rightly should. You know, this is the same lineage that held the WWE title for 4 straight years. Same bloodline that are the longest reigning tag team champions, albeit not the same characters or wrestlers, superstars in the bloodline.
Yeah.
But it's just week after week, the ending of SmackDown is the same, it's the same.
Which is why we've named SmackDown
Incredibly boring.
Because the same thing happens, nothing interesting goes on, and the Bloodline are just being...
What's the definition of insanity?
Lost my mind?
Doing the same thing time after time and expecting a different result.
Just... shocker.
For me, as I say, it's... And like I say, it's carrying on for another 2 weeks. Whether we see this again, I don't know. But it just seems they'll put something through a table. Jacob Fatu might jump off the top rope onto the table. They might powerbomb through the table.
I mean, they've now used everything that they can. Randy's gone. They've destroyed Randy. They've destroyed Kevin Owens. They've destroyed Cody. Who's there left? Who's left for them to obliterate and put through a table? Me? Why me? I don't want to get...
That would be fun to watch.
I don't want to get shield bombed through an announcement table by the bloodline.
Well, we've got Cody, obviously, at SummerSlam, as we keep alluding to, in Roman. I just think that at SummerSlam, Cody will retain, and then they'll move off in their own separate directions, whether Cody will go on to maybe something with Randy Orton, maybe he'll return and from this injury or whatever, and
Injury storyline.
Come back as a heel. I don't know.
Who knows? It's wrestling for you. Anything can happen.
But yeah, incredibly boring, incredibly stale, and I just want to see something a little bit different.
Just something a bit spicy and just interesting. Just get it out of there. And something that's actually entertaining to watch, and I'm going to enjoy it and not fall asleep at 3 a.m. or 2:30.
Something that was quite interesting. We had a United States contract match signing involving the one and only megastar Logan Paul.
Boo.
The real megastar.
L.A. No. Yeah. Let me talk to you.
And let me talk to you, Curtis, because this is SummerSlam is in his home. It's in Logan Paul's home city of Cleveland.
It is indeed.
Did he put the United States title on LA Knight? Because that seems the direction they're going.
Yeah.
Logan Paul, stat for you, has only defended the US title twice, I believe, since he won it last year at Crown Jewel.
Really, really entertaining. Really good wrestler. Oh, surprise, surprise. He's like Roman Reigns.
One was at the Royal Rumble against Kevin Owens, and the other was at WrestleMania in a triple threat against Kevin Owens and Randy Orton.
Yeah, to have 2 title defenses, and how long has he held it? He's the longest. Okay. He's the only person to held
November last year?
Yeah, November last year. So he's held it November last year, and he's retained it twice. It's just poor. It's just not interesting. It's just boring. Hence why SmackDown was incredibly boring. That should be the title for this podcast. Incredibly boring.
Episode 11, incredibly boring. That's a nice ring to it. But although people might see that and think we're describing the podcast itself, I mean, they're not wrong, of course.
I mean, you're the leader, so of course it's boring with you on the lead.
Of course it is. So, yeah, SmackDown incredibly boring. It was a double taping this week, so we won't bring you any spoilers because this coming weekend, WWE are touring Japan.
They are indeed.
Which should be cool for them to see. I'm sure Dave Meltzer will rate it 5 stars. We know he loves his wrestling in Japan.
He loves his 5-star reviews as well.
Yes. Last thing I want to talk to you, Curtis.
Yes.
All Elite Wrestling.
Where the best wrestle.
They do indeed. We don't talk about them enough, I think, on this podcast.
We don't.
There was a massive, really, really good match on Dynamite. Really, really good match. It went 59 minutes and 58 seconds. In an hour time limit. MJF against Will Ospreay.
I did see that match.
What were your thoughts?
Really good. Really, really good. Enjoyed it. They did well.
I love MJF. He said at the end of the match, so he said in post-show promos or whatever, saying that was really easy match for him, although he was carried out on oxygen and
just
carried out held up by people
and on oxygen and just really just said it was the easiest match.
He's the new international title champion, beat Will Ospreay. Obviously, we're on the build to All In. MJF turned heel again a couple of weeks ago by obliterating Daniel Garcia. What do you see the direction being for all of that? Do you see a triple threat match at Wembley, maybe? Do you see...
I think so, yeah. I think a triple
Will Ospreay and MJF 2 at Wembley?
I think it would be good to see MJF and Will Ospreay again at Wembley. 80 to 90,000 people. What more could you want? You've got MJF, and you've got one of the best, if not the best, British and European wrestler, Will Ospreay.
Oh, one of the best wrestlers in the world, full stop.
He is indeed. That would be really good.
It would be. Are you going to watch Dynamite this week, Curtis?
Yes, I will.
Good man.
Unless I fall asleep.
Unless you fall asleep. Last thing we want to talk to you on this podcast about, a little bit shorter than normal, is AEW Collision. Now, and then e-residency. Last night, as we record this on Sunday, Saturday Night Collision was filmed in the Arlington Esports Arena, which I think holds about 2,500 people. Is normally set up, as I mentioned, for esports and for gaming. Have you seen any of this coverage on social media, Curtis? What?
Nope.
No?
No. Have not.
You've got a picture in front of you.
I do indeed.
As someone who's fresh to this then, in terms of not actually been seeing it before, what are your thoughts on just the concept of them running shows from there? Because as I say, 2,500.
So where's the Tron going to be, and where's the
So the Tron,
is it in the...
This is making great podcasting here. So the Tron is on the left-hand side. So you see where it says AEW Collision?
Yeah.
That's the Tron.
And is the ramp...
And that's the ramp going down to the ring. So the ring is in the middle. There's 2,500 people, roughly, maybe 3,000.
Picture ain't very clear. But it just doesn't. It just if that's the Tron, that does not look any. That just looks boring, to be honest. I'm very fussy and funny with when it comes. Well, not too fussy, but when it comes to the stages and stuff. I don't know why. I just like a entertaining stage. The one at WrestleMania 39 was brilliant. I
One of the best stages we've seen.
Really enjoyed that one. But sorry, I find it very intriguing watching you do that. They probably have no idea what we're talking about. Back to AEW, back to wrestling. They're at the esports arena until All In. Well,
for Collision, anyway, I know they're running Ring of Honor shows out there as well, including Death Before Dishonor coming up this Friday.
Yeah, but it'd be interesting to see what that stage will fully look like as well.
Yes, it was a really good episode of Collision last night. You had a title change.
Yeah.
Christine Cage and the Patriarchy won the trios titles.
I did see that.
Yeah, really, really decent show. Really, really enjoyed that. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, episode 11. It feels like yesterday we were only on episode 1.
I know. And that was a long episode as well.
It was a long, long episode.
Enjoyed every episode, though. It's been a good journey so far, and I know for a fact that there's going to be many more opportunities. Many
bigger and brighter days for this podcast ahead. Anyway, as I say, a little bit shorter podcast than usual. If you haven't already, check out our interview with Brendan White from New Wave Wrestling. Their show is coming up this Sunday, the 28th, a week today as we sit here and record this live at the Corn Exchange. Tickets are still available if you all want to go to that one. Me and Curtis will probably see you there.
We will indeed.
Obviously, the wrestlers will see you there. Really, really looking forward to our interviews available now. So go check that out. Go check out our website as well. There'll be a few things going up there this week for it. And thank you, Curtis, once again for another stellar edition.
As always.
And thank you very much for you at home for listening to another edition of the Are You Ready Wrestling podcast.